Hello friends, I am Dr. Lokesh Desrai and in this video we are going to discuss how to compute independent sample t-test in SPSS. So what is the purpose of independent sample t-test? This test is used to generalize whether the unknown means of two distinct populations P1 and P2 are same or different for specific variables based on independent samples selected from two populations. In this sample you can see that we select a one random sample size N1 from population P1, random sample of size N2 from population P2, and we are going to generalize whether the mean of a specific variables are statistically same or different between these two distinct populations P1 and P2. Now, what are the examples for this test in a business research? There are few examples such like to determine whether there is a difference in a job performance scores between employees who received training and those who did not. It means there are two employees categories considered as an independent variable and performance score considered as a dependent variable. To compare the mean test score of students studying in private schools and the government schools to see if a significant difference exists. Again, two types of students or populations are there. The first one is private school, second one is government school. This is independent variable and test score considered as a dependent variable to examine whether male and female consumers differ significantly in their purchase intentions towards a new product. So again, the independent variable is two groups of customers, male and female, and purchase intention is dependent variable. To analyze whether customers enrolled in a loyalty program have significantly higher satisfaction score than non-members. Again, in these two types of customers, considered as an independent variable and satisfaction considered as a dependent variable. So in all these examples, two distinct group of populations are there that is considered as a independent variable and the dependent variable is considered as a your measured or your interest variable. Now, what are the assumptions of independent sample t-test? There are a few assumptions. Dependent variable should be interval or ratio, scale or ratio level that is continuous in nature. No significant outliers. Dependent variable should be approximately normal distributed and independent variable must be having two distinct categories. Like we have seen in the previous slide, all the independent variables, they are having at least two distinct categories. Now, steps to execute independent sample t-test. First, you have to make data entry in SPSS according to survey or problem given. Framing null and alternative hypothesis according to the problem statement. Examine the assumptions. First assumption you will check normality test by using KS1 sample test. And second is equality of the variance by using Levin's test. Now you have to make interpretation of output. The first output will be descriptive statistics. Next is independent sample test statistics along with Levin's test. You can find in the result and then you have to make a decision based on p-value and then reporting the final results. So these are the steps which are required to execute and report the independent sample t-test. Now what is the question or problem which we are going to discuss? We are using a dataset graduate.sav contains the CGPA score of 90 students from a business school along with their gender, male and female. Using this dataset, examine whether there is a significant difference in the mean CGPA between male and female student. So now you are required to understand the problem. How many populations are given in this case or how many samples are given in this case. So it is clearly revealed that two samples are there, male students and female student. What is the variable of interest? The variable of interest is CGPA score. The sample size is 90. So when there are two populations given in the problem statement, then you are required to use independent sample t-test. How many sample means will be considered? So two sample means will be considered. The first from male student and second from female student. What is the research problem? Research problem is that we are required to check whether there is a significant difference in mean CGPA between male and female student and which test is applicable. So now because there are two population, male and female, gender as an independent variable and CGPA score as a dependent variable, so we are using independent sample t-test. Now I open the data file This is a data file in which two variables are there, CGPA and gender, and this is a data view of 90 students CGPA score with respect to their specific gender. Now we apply the independent sample t-test, but before first is to check the normality of a dependent variable. For that we will use one sample KS test as we have used in the previous video in a one sample t-test. So analyze, non-parametric test, legacy dialog, and one sample KS test. In this, our dependent variable is CGPA. Transfer it in test variable list. The normal distribution by default it is selected. Press OK, and you can find the result of one sample KS test in the output viewer window. Now in this, we have to check the p-value, that is asymptotic significance two-tailed, that is 0.065. So how we can interpret this one? This is data entry which we have done. Data view is there. The same steps which we have discussed to apply the one sample KS test. Now this is the p-value 0.065. So now decision in SPSS for hypothesis testing is based on the p-values. If the p-value less than 0.05 at 5% level of significance, then null hypothesis H naught is rejected. If the p-value greater than 0.05 at 5% level of significance, then null hypothesis H naught is failed to reject, and the decision will be in the favor of alternative hypothesis. So now in our case, in the normality check, the p-value is 0.065. And in this case, we designed the null hypothesis as the data follows a normal distribution. Alternative hypothesis, the data do not follow a normal distribution. And the p-value is more than 0.05, that is 0.065 at 5% level of significance. Hence, we fail to reject the null hypothesis, indicating the condition of normality. Thus, we conclude that CGPA is normal distributed and can be used for t-test analysis. So now the p-value should be greater than 0.05 at 5% level of significance for the normal distribution. So in this case, the first task is you have to check the normality by applying one sample KS test for the on the dependent variable. And now after that we apply independent sample t-test on our data sheet. Go for again analyze, compare means, independent sample t-test, and the test variable is CGPA, so transfer it. Grouping variable is gender, select and transfer it. Now you have to define the groups. So define the group means the label which you have used in your data sheet, you have to mention these label exactly. So in the data sheet, I used one as a male and two as a female. So you just type one and two in this grouping variable or define groups, continue, and then press OK. So once you press OK, you can find the results on your output viewer window. The first is group statistics data summary table, and second is independent sample t-test table. So you have to interpret these two tables. Now how we can interpret this one? Okay, so before the interpretation, we make or we design the null and alternative hypothesis for independent sample t-test. So what is null hypothesis? In my case, there is no significant difference in the mean CGPA of male and female students. It means H naught is mu male equals to mu female. And alternative hypothesis is there is a significant difference in the mean CGPA of male and female students. It means H1 is mu male does not equals to mu female. So friends, it is a two-tailed kind of condition. It means there is a possibility that the average CGPA of male may be greater than female, or the average CGPA of female may be greater than male. So it is called two-tailed test condition. Now, these are the steps which we have already used. I just show you how to make this in the SPSS. So go to analyze, compare mean, independent sample t-test, transfer test variable, mention the grouping variable, and this is the first result, group statistics that indicates data summary. So this table indicates the mean CGPA of male student 6.50 with N53 is higher than the mean CGPA of female students with mean is 5.68 and number of female student is 37. The standard deviation for males 1.75 and females 1.76 is almost similar, indicating similar variability in the CGPA score in both groups. This table only shows descriptive statistics, suggesting that the male students having slightly higher average CGPA than female students, but it does not confirm whether the difference is statistically significant. So to identification of this significant difference, we go to the test statistics result. So now in this table, first you have to interpret this Lehman's test for equality of variance, and then you have to interpret the result of independent sample t-test. So first one is Lehman's test for equality of variance. The significance value is 0.530, which is greater than 0.05. Now friends, you have to design the null and alternative hypothesis for this Lehman's test also. So what is the null hypothesis in this case? There is no significant difference in the variances of CGPA between male and female student. And alternative hypothesis, there is a significant difference in the variance of CGPA between male and female student. And because the p-value is greater than 0.05, that is 0.530, so it means null hypothesis is accepted, or in the other words, we fail to reject the null hypothesis, indicating that the variance of two groups are equal. So friends, this is one of the assumption which is required to check before applying independent sample t-test. Therefore, the results from the equal variance assumed row are used for this interpretation. So if this Lehman's test results we got, if it is acceptable, then we have to follow the result of a first row in this specific table. Now we go to the t-test statistics for equality of means. This is t-test for equality of means. The t-value is 2.180, degrees of freedom 88, and the p-value that is reflected by SIG 2 tail, it is 0.032. Now, what is the null hypothesis in this case? There is no significant difference in the mean CGPA between male and female students, and alternative hypothesis is there is a significant difference in the mean CGPA between male and female students. So since the p-value is less than 0.05, null hypothesis is rejected and the alternative hypothesis is accepted. So this indicates that there is a statistically significant difference in the mean CGPA of male and female student, and it is obviously shows reflects in the form of mean difference. The mean difference is 0.82, indicating that male student have on average 0.82 higher CGPA than female student. And what is that 95% confidence interval of the difference? This confidence interval ranges from 0.072 to 1.56. Since the interval does not include the zero, it further confirms that the difference in the mean CGPA between male and female students is statistically significant. If it includes the zero, then that difference will become non-significant. So in this way, we interpret the independent sample t-test or t-test for equality of means. So in this entire independent sample t-test, first we check the normality, design the null and alternative hypothesis accordingly. Then we'll check the Lehman's test for equality of variance, design the null and alternative hypothesis accordingly. And last, we check the t-test for equality of means, and then we design the null and alternative hypothesis respectively. So we design three types of null and alternative hypothesis to interpret. Now, what is the overall conclusion? The result indicates that there is a statistically significant difference in the mean CGPA between male and female student. Therefore, it can be concluded that gender significantly influences the CGPA of student in this data set, with male student having a higher average CGPA than female students. So friends, in this way, we can execute and interpret the independent sample t-test. So thank you for watching this video, and in case you, for more videos in this series, please subscribe the channel, and in case you need any queries, please mention in the comment box. Thank you so much.